choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? Again, 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 again.
Choices you made, did you make them up?
could just walk right out the door. Don't wanna do this anymore. Now I'm lost without you. You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep. Now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave, and by the time it's done I'll be
Our delicious new gingerbread and white chocolate Chatime is available in your choice of milky or frozen iced tea, or made hot, so you can enjoy it any way you like. Chatime, shaking tea up.
Good evening and welcome back to the Australian Esports University League for Rainbow Six Siege, presented by Chatime. I'm Mendrix, and joining me today is Cthulhu. Mate, how are you going?
Yeah, doing pretty good, actually. Very excited for the last few remaining matches before we transition over to playoffs. So, look, tension is at all-time high, and this is where the teams need to start acquiring the dubs.
Yeah, it's absolutely go time. But before we do get into that, do want to have a quick thank you to our sponsors, which of course make this entire tournament possible. Chatime, innovative flavor combinations to brew nothing but the very best iced teas. Rig, delivering superior audio for competitive gamers. AOC with more than 50 years of experience. And of course, Indomie, feed your game. Try out any of their flavors today. We're currently in round 7, and you were talking about it, Cthulhu. At the moment, lil Monash is currently first, but can still change, still have the rest of group stages left to play through. And obSYDian pretty close on their tail, only 2 points behind. I mean, it's currently first versus fourth in Group D. It really is, it seems like it's a big distance between the two of them, but there's really nothing in it. Don't you agree, Cthulhu?
Yeah, look, I definitely have to say that even with the fact that on the bracket, look, obSYDian are still 4th place in Group D. Monash, definitely, they have the position at least for themselves. They're still yet to take a loss. At the very least, it's only just 2 draws for themselves, whereas on the side of obSYDian, they did take, unfortunately, an L for them, but they're still within the realm of possibility of getting themselves a position in the playoffs. So both teams have a chance. This one is more so which one will actually get themselves guaranteed to be inside the playoffs.
Yeah, and really with them playing for it, I mean, there has to be all about that confirmations. You want to get yourself into the playoffs. And with that, let's actually introduce the teams and the rosters as well. Let's have a quick look to see what we're going with there. And so, as we can see here, we do have Pokadu, Rajesh, Sporter, Trespi, and Yoda Pug for Monash. Just lining up the details there. Bit of Hibana, Bandit, Nobid, Tachenka, Thermite. Basically, pretty typical operators coming through the lines there, and pretty decent KDAs across the board.
Yeah, definitely. I'm liking the fact that already quite a few teams have started adapting Chanka back into the whole meta, given the rework came in quite a while ago, really, and seeing him now finally get back into the whole competitive meta is definitely a huge thing to really witness. So, yeah, look, for Monash, this is a prime time, but looking at obSYDian, their opponents essentially, Admios, Damp, Kadim, Shanks, and Strider, look, a roster that has quite a few very recognizable names, to say the very least, if people have been following Pro League back in the day. Strider now being converted into the absolute, well, with no insult intended in that one, the absolute gamer in the casual queue. The man is an absolute fiend when it comes down to fragging.
Yeah, well, looking to see who does bring that performance here today as well. I mean, again, if he's been a fiend throughout the entire tournament, we want to see that happen, especially with playoffs being in contention at the moment. That being said, though, let's see what these guys decided to actually ban away, what we're going to be playing on. Pretty much across the board, they're pretty typical. I feel most of these teams have been sort of just sticking to really Clubhouse and Cafe from time to time. But as you can see, Consulate, Coastline, Chalet, Oregon, Villa, all off of the map. They're not really going to be happening there. obSYDian obviously picking that Clubhouse, and lil Monash looking for Cafe. And well, I mean, what does that really say about these two teams in terms of their picks, their bans? What are you feeling on that one, Cthulhu?
Well, it definitely kind of slowly leans towards the fact that both teams are not particularly, well, at the very least on the side of obSYDian, they're not particularly too keen on going towards the maps that allow a whole lot of kind of roam game, or they overly too complex on their layout. Clubhouse and Cafe are both of those maps, they kind of very familiar. You can see them, you can play them in ranked, you can play them in casual. Literally each and every team in the Pro League has those kind of maps as their kind of regularly practiced ones. And in general, it's kind of one of those maps that, yeah, you need a solid amount of strat prep, but due to how much it's played, it's quite frequently turns into just an absolute frag fest, and who can just react quicker, really.
It's not one of the things that's like, hey, this is our playground. We know exactly where everything is, but at the back of our hands. But at the same time, so does your opponents, which means things can basically get out of control very quickly. That being said, though, we do have a quick look at the playoff participants as well. I just want to really confirm who's actually made it into playoffs beforehand as well. As we can see there's going to be RMIT Black, Thermite, the other RMIT, and of course UTS Esports seems to be making the playoffs, and Swinburne as well are now confirmed for playoffs. So we still have a few more to be announced or to be decided there. As you can see, Group D still in contention, Group C, Group A, and Group B basically looking at all Group B second, looking to be put across the board there. So, I mean, when I look at this as well here, not too surprising to see the teams that have made it across their base, but all of them pretty much monsters in their own rights in terms of things there. So it should be pretty excited when playoffs does come around.
Definitely. I 100% gotta say the playoffs for this semester are going to be absolutely crazy. And whereas before one would say, yeah, look, RMIT Black were the ones to make it into the grand finals, they were the ones to actually show us some absolutely dominating games. I think within the context of this semester, it is going to be a much closely contested game, and one can't really strongly predict whether even RMIT will be able to make it. But I do believe the game is actually ready, so we are quite keen and ready to roll. But Clubhouse, look, just wanted to say, Clubhouse, I definitely feel will be a little bit more kind of basic in execution. One probably could even say, with the changes to the bar stock, maybe we shall see a few kind of pocket picks here and there. But I am still highly dubious of that. Whereas Cafe, I think this is where we might be seeing some of the spicier ones, given that there's still some room for creativity with how you play, especially on defense. But I suppose we first need to get through the Clubhouse.
Absolutely, and I think part of it as well, Clubhouse, plenty of nooks, plenty of names. Again, it is a very well played map. So really, when you are looking for players to innovate their complete pants off when it comes to these things, we're talking about opening holes in places that you just do not expect going forward. And I guess that you can say that's how things are a little bit crazy. That being said, we are going to be starting into it right now. So you can see here, obSYDian, of course, going to be on the attack first with lil Monash on defense, and entering that bang phase. Checking to see what's going to be taken off the board here. But a little bit of decision across the board. I think everyone's hovering in terms of what it may be, but of course, there's still a number of those meta bans. What are you expecting to be the bans here, Cthulhu?
Bans-wise, I'm actually thinking we won't be really seeing a whole lot of something unconventional. Thatcher already out of the board, already obSYDian looking in their own ban with Hibana, which does also make sense. Hibana or Aces are usually the two kind of contenders for the second ban here, given that a lot of teams like to limit their opponents for the remote card breaching and just limiting it to as much of like up close and personal kind of engagement as it humanly can be. Valkyrie to be banned out is one of those things that generally, like, it's also an expected ban.
Yeah.
Just the sheer amount of information that she can provide is absolutely phenomenal. So not too surprised that we shall not be seeing her, at least within the context of this matchup. And, well, Mira, to wrap it all up, I mean, did we expect anything different really here?
No, not really. I guess you could say that. I mean, of course, there was probably a few things, but then it does come down to the preference of the players. And as you can see, just really taking a number of those players off the board. We can see now they are beginning to get their picks into position. We do looking to see on attack, Sledge, Nobat, Sophia, Ace, and Maverick to really kicks things off, and on defense, Smoke, Malusi, Cade, Mamai, and Bandit. So looking pretty good on those sides there in terms of that. A little bit being brought across here. I'm really going to be looking, of course, for different things. I'm just a little bit concerned that perhaps maybe it's more soft breach heavy on the side of obSYDian. Maybe they might not find the best way to get in. I mean, probably looking for that Maverick to get in there.
Could be. Yeah, look, Maverick is going to be still an extremely powerful choice here, I gotta say, just purely for the fact that he will be able to pretty much avoid the Kite Claw, the Mute Jammer, even after the Mute has been quote-unquote nerfed, but technically he's just been readjusted for his actual role. On the side of obSYDian, look, I don't think we are going to be seeing a whole lot of unusual picks. The moment Strider will do his work as a Maverick and open up the wall, I think it's purely just down to the fragability, and Maverick can do that and then some.
I completely agree with you in that sense. We are just getting through that preparation phase here now, of course, entering into that action phase. Of course, going to be looking at obSYDian to find their way in. We do have a few of those drones still floating around for the time being, but nothing too crazy going to be happening off the back here. As you can see, there's a few things happening. Diffuser has already been dropped, but I think it's just a matter of time before it's picked up. There we go.
It is more so purely for just to figure out who's actually going to go in for the plan, but we did get to see the previous matches at the very least at the top left corner, where for Monash, look, it's been all Gucci, a little bit of a draw as a bit of a hiccup on their performance in the middle of the semester, but apart from that, it's been all cruisy. Similar could be said for obSYDian, albeit an L stands out a little bit more than a draw, but I don't think this will be getting to their heads just yet, at least for this very matchup. They are doing their best to just try to open up as quickly as possible, and within
Yep.
just less than a minute, it all goes well. But the issue is not a whole lot of congestion right now in the garage, and garage rafters are going to be an extremely powerful leverage here for Monash to bounce around if it doesn't get contested for a whole lot.
obSYDian have found the bomb in this sense of things as well. As you can tell, we did have a little bit beforehand, just a bit of a poking around Kadeem supporting Strider when it comes to opening up here. But of course, with minute 30 left on the clock, it is starting to get to that point where things are starting to pinch out for obSYDian, who do need to make their move to get in there, lil Monash. Of course, still holding on for the time being, all 5 members still available. A few of the pot shots are starting to come in, but no real damage is being dealt at this moment in time. And as time goes on, there we go. As I say that, Kadeem has been found. He's been taken down on the side here. Shanks able to find that kill off the back. A nice little play here. Things looking pretty good for little Monash now on the defense, because again, 1 minute left, starting to count right on down, and they're up 1 man.
Well, Monash starting to go in, get a little bit spooked here with a few of the engagements, but hopefully for themselves they still have a few opportunities. Strider being forced to reopen up a whole different area, it might take quite a while, and if he gets shut down, not going to be a whole lot of other chances really, even though with Admios he still has 2 of the Selma charges, so he could very much cause some damage here. But with 30 seconds, push needs to happen anytime soon, and if Yodapug can perform his duty here with a C4 as well in his pockets, he could do quite a hefty amount of damage here.
Yeah, it does take a bit of chip on the side there, of course, through some of those deployables, but trying to hold this cash room down. There we go, we do find a return kill there. Pug has been taken out. You can see here now, but of course, it's going to be the return kills on the flip side. Little Monash just turning on and ripping obSYDian asunder. As we can see, it's really going to be up to Shanks now to try and get everything across here, but in the end, little Monash just too much of that man advantage. When they managed to really turn on, it was just crazy how quickly they flipped the switch and completely shut down obSYDian.
Go. Hook, line, and sinker was the bait there by lil Monash. And obSYDian, yeah, look, despite their best efforts, unfortunately couldn't really close it out there for themselves. So gonna give it another try. We are gonna be switching over to Church and Arsenal room, and it's, yeah, look, Church and Arsenal I definitely think is going to be even more of a decisive play here because of how kind of turtle-like you can hold your position as a defender, especially with the addition of Melusi, especially with the addition of Maestro. I definitely say Bowie could do quite a hefty amount of damage, whereas on the side of obSYDian, still only the beginning of the match, so I don't think it will be getting too much in their heads, but funnily enough, no changes in the attacking roster, so maybe they have been kind of trying to quote-unquote min-max around their own teammates and trying to find that kind of the universal roster that kind of works out in general on Clubhouse.
Yeah, sometimes it isn't about tweaking what your roster is actually going to be. It's just about that execution. And like you said, it's still relatively early. We're just in round 2. One of the big things they need to take into account is they've got still a number of rounds underneath their pocket before, of course, sides will be swapping. And that does mean that they're able to sort of iron out that execution, make sure it's going to be on place when they come into it. So you really would be hoping it's in the swing by around that round 3. Otherwise, you can see that obSYDian might be in a little bit of trouble going forward.
Temporary. Let's see how obSYDian will be able to solve this whole temporary setback that they are currently on. Because if they are able to pull an upset and get the better of lil Monash in this very matchup, this could actually be a huge progress for them.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to destabilize a whole lot of chances for Monash to get into playoffs. So there's definitely still quite some heftiness to the loss for either one of the rosters. So I would imagine that Monash will be definitely sweating as much as obSYDian would do here. But Tresp, funnily enough, as a smoke, decides to actually play a very aggressive position on the central stairs rather than somebody like a Melusi or a Jaeger.
What you can see though, there is going to be a member found. Shanks gets onto Bow there, brings it down. Very quick return as well. obSYDian really beginning to turn things up now as they mentioned playing 2 members of lil Monash. And this is what we're talking about. Both these teams sweating it out. Both of them really are playing at that point and turning into a bit of that frag fest and a little bit of an earlier action in comparison to the second round. And now with obSYDian here, they've still got members basically very full up on that sort of thing. Still have a few members in there, and so they will throw that down, but isn't going to find anything off that. But as you can see here now, just continuing to make that push down. Shanks is just trying to find a little bit of view down towards that bottom of the side there. But it is going to be really up to the rest of the members here. Looking at Poke just to hold on to Pug, and of course Arthur just to hold on to this point. And Dominos is trying to push in. We'll throw out a few shots there, but again, no hit markers being found. With a 1 minute 10 on the side here, lil Monash just holding strong, considering that they did lose 2 members very quickly.
I'll definitely have to agree. Monash still managing to tone the whole aggression down. Albeit obSYDian have the upper hand here, even if they do go in for like a double swing or so. So right now for Monash, it is the best case scenario. Really try to play as much of a passive angle as possible. Force obSYDian to go in for the push here and try to contest on Monash's terms. And it definitely seems like this may just be the case, but Cthulhu, absolutely phenomenal push and swing into the blue tunnel. Able to find yet another opening, pushing this into a 2v4, 4v1. It's all down to Paquetto. He actually manages to push it into 3v1. He gets tagged up. Can he swing? He cannot. No, it's Strider to finish him off at the conclusion of the round. Well, obSYDian very least managed to draw it out, but again, it was off the back of quite a hefty amount of losses amidst that push.
Yeah, just really trading out towards the end, and I was a little bit worried when Pokesus Edu managed to jump in and obviously get basically a 2-for-1 there. Maybe might have been able to restabilize and try to put down a damper on the attack, but of course his position had been found. That doesn't mean, of course, we are going to be swapping things. Actually, no, wait, I think we're remaining on that church in the Arsenal room once again. So not too much happening there for the objective change. Looks like even though lil Monash is pretty happy with that particular spot in place. We do have
Arsenal feels like maybe it is more so of a kind of decision that, look, they've realized that maybe playing as aggressively as they did with, at the very least, first few peaks wasn't the best kind of idea, and maybe an attempt to tone it down would be a better decision. But also the introduction of Pulse with a shotgun is a huge decision, which will be kind of showing us that they are intending to play around the armory more, try not to give it away as early as they did in the previous round. Whereas on the side of obSYDian, the change from a sledge to buck also kind of signals the idea that, hey, maybe we should play a little bit more careful now that they've seen the pulse, or the possibility of pulse and possibilities of multiple C4s being brought on board as well for the defense.
Yeah, look, just to change things up a little bit, that Buck, a little bit more active, of course, has that shotgun ability that comes into play and can allow them to actually just hold down a position a little bit better in those close combats. So a little bit of differences coming across here. There's 6-man coming on across, and now that we are into round 3, 1-1 at the moment. Like you said, the sweat's still on for obSYDian and lil Monash. No one really in a comfortable position, getting enough points above, and at this point, they're getting an idea, beginning to feel each other out, understand what their strategies is going to be. And it's all about that adaptability. Understand there's a little bit of edges that you can find across the board. Nothing too crazy here. Shanks just pushing at this point. As you can see, we do have Damps beginning to make their way in as well. And like you said, careful seems to be the name of the game here now for obSYDian, as they are just holding down particular lines. We do have a hatch being opened up here by Strider as well. So for a little bit of extra peek down there, see who's going to be waiting on the side.
Exactly. Strider just doing his work, playing it extra careful, full well knowing that he's not being covered here. So in case of a quick cheeky peek from the defenders, he would be still in quite a solid amount of safety. So it's all looking nice and fine. The hatch has been opened up, and Tresp will have his attention diverted over to that motor hatch, whereas the rest of the obSYDian, they are slowly but surely picking apart this whole flooring in the kitchen, trying to find that very sussy Pulse. But Pulse is there. Pulse, the C4 being flung around, or maybe not, trying to dodge the shots. Funnily enough, doesn't take any damage whatsoever amidst all of that whole chaos of him kind of running around like a headless chicken. And just,
it really is rough when a Pulse is on there. You feel like the entire floor is basically lava when you're making a move around, and especially in that upcoming points, you can see Shank still being as careful as possible, sort of hopping on and off quickly as possible. A bit of a Drake just going out for the time being as well, just to see if they can get a little bit of extra information if available. Now, you can see here, Shanks and Strider just continuing to shoot through that wall, through that floor, playing a little bit of extra. And Mios, though, is found in the air. He's being shot down there. Nice quick hits there. Still available to be picked up, but will be finished off. Deem now, as you can see, manages to get a kill onto Spo as well. So it's still going to be a 5 versus 4 at the moment. We've got Nemo still waiting to be revived, but he's going to be just holding in that line and not sure if the teammates will be able to get back to it. Now we're going to see there. He does manage to get picked up. He's going to be running right the hell on out of there. Needs to get that ace to safety. But Team Neg manages to get that double kill. He's getting another kill on the side here, though. He's locked up in the smoke for the time being. Unfortunately, he's going to be taking damage there too, as well as the flowballs being popped on and down. That's going to be a 4 versus 2 here between them. But of course, another member dropping down straight away. It's all going to be on Baka, but Baka unfortunately is going to be taking down obSYDian, taking that second round and now really pushing themselves to the lead.
obSYDian finally found their... obSYDian managed to find themselves their whole kind of pacing and momentum. Definitely doing some pretty solid play and solid execution. Really, they certainly feeling like a little bit more of a well-organized unit, even comparative to lil Monash. Whereas from the side of lil Monash, they still kind of trying to figure it out because they weren't able to secure a frag onto Admios, which arguably could have pushed the contention a little bit closer there for themselves, and being still very much unaware of any presence that could have been on the main stairs is so far just been shooting themselves in the foot. And that's probably the main thing that has been popping out ever since round 2, where they first lost the church defense. It's just the moment they lost the positioning on the main stairs, the moment they lost any kind of presence in the armory, that's it. Pretty much, you can call it a round right then and there, because Monash just pretty much fell apart like a house of cards. Whereas for obSYDian, easy picking. So now to return over to CCTV, this was the only side that Monash were able to quite easily collapse, even after the initial loss of a player or two.
Yeah, definitely looked a lot more comfortable in that first round when they were actually on the CCTV and cash room as well. So perhaps maybe just changing things around. Of course, you can see the buck has been retired and the sledge has been brought in. So obSYDian beginning to just continue to change up that 6-man just to say, hey, you know what, we're still going to have a different operator come in because we feel that perhaps you may change it. And sure enough, they did.
Strider back again on his own shenanigans. This time, instead of focusing on the main CCTV wall, decides to open up a few more angles for the opportunities. Shanks somehow just finds the frag. Pokeru out of the equation. That's the roaming Melusi. That's the C4 gone. So that is already quite a hefty initial damage dealt, and with no real repercussions for obSYDian, which means that, oh, well, for Admiros finally does go down. So Sporter being able to play a very aggressive angle, reading into the fact that nobody's going to peek him from the main door of the garage, pretty much punishes through the same peek holes that Strider opened up there for obSYDian.
There you go. The thing is that with that, Dave, you do open up those holes, you do open up those vantage points, that means the enemy can use it as well, and obSYDian not really taking that into account, will lose their ace relatively early into the round, even after getting that advantage. So again, 4 versus 4 at the moment. Everyone full up on that HP, looking pretty damn healthy. We're looking at Spo here, just looking inside. He will be able to get a kill inside there, but is going to be traded out as well. So still going to be relatively even across the board. Now it's going to be on Dam to sort of try and find a peek through inside here. Of course, to Pug, Bowie, and Sus are still alive. Sorry, Tresp still alive for the time being.
Tresp certainly going to be in a lot of trouble once the actual push does commence. We are looking at yet another few months of swings to be coming about, given that Kadim and Strider are still yet to make and go in for the push, but already some presence by Damp could be quite deadly if he's not if his position is not being very thoroughly considered by Monash. This could be a very deadly prospect, but apart from that, Monash got their position sorted out quite well overall. So there are a few opportunities for them to make a comeback here with a C4 out. Won't be really tagging anyone, so for the time being they need to play for time, maybe go in for a couple of cheeky frags, but I'm not seeing that happen yet.
Strider is holding the diffuser here for the time being as well. As the one actually peeking in, which is a bit confusing on the side. Team more than happy to just shoot through the right side there, taking a little bit of the damage, but is happy just to continue that push across. Now, not too much happening on the side here, but we can see the diffuser has been dropped. There goes down Strider as well. It's a pretty bad place for it to be for the time being. But it's still available to be picked up. But you can see another member now being dropped down. This is effectively all on Damp now to hold this position down because Strider is just going to be slowly disappearing as time goes on. As we can see, he's going to jump down the side. Does manage to get a kill. I'll just press P for the time being. And hey! Doesn't manage to run out of time. Is unable to make it happen. And does mean that we're going to be moving to that next round. Another trade coming across.
Go. Just like that, yet another round is all done and dusted. Monash is able to get themselves back on board, back into the play, because it was definitely looking a little bit shaky, a little bit shady there for the way how things were starting to unravel first. But look, not anymore. We're all good. We're all fine for now. Maybe later on in the games we will be seeing maybe some cracks starting to form. But apart from that, look, I gotta say I've pretty much in my head predicted that this would be pretty much neck and neck of a game. And obSYDian definitely have all of the ability, all of the rights to essentially push Monash here to the absolute, pretty much borderline overtime really here for themselves. So I have to find out and see if
It's going to be another
able to
change
keep
up.
themselves up.
There's going to be another change up in that as well, and where things place. We are moving out to the gym and the bedroom. And like you said, you know, again, both these teams, both these players, or all of the players, really pushing each other to the brink in terms of what they're going to be capable to do. And it's good to see, again, neck to neck at this point in time. Both players still sweating it out for the time being. Again, contention for playoffs is going to be confirmed whoever's going to be the victor out of these two maps that we're going to be playing. So what is really on the line here, and both these teams are making sure no one just runs away with it just yet. So coming into this next step of the preparation phase, we can see here just a few vantage points being opened up, but nothing too crazy. How does gym and bedroom change the plan up here for obSYDian and lil Monash?
For obSYDian, it means that they will need to focus a little bit more initially on the push towards the jacuzzi wall and just try to maybe play around that. Apart from that, really, it's going to be more so about how well do they manage their time, because if Monash will be able to drain their time early on into the matchup, early on into the round, this could be from the get-go a very uphill battle for obSYDian.
Yeah, the name of the game is obviously, of course, draining that time if possible, because again, it begins to create pressure for the attack, and the fact that you have to then make moves with 40 seconds left to go makes things a bit rough for them to say that. Again, still plenty of time on the clock there, but speaking of the which, one of the members already off the board. Shanks' dress was found, a nice shotgun kill there, just managed to take this to a 4 versus 5, and again, no real repercussions other than a little bit of extra damage here. Although we can see here, Poker's needs to fall down for a little bit for the time being, but he's relatively fine there for the time being. Just trying to use that peak hole there, see if any members will get through, but he's basically going to be holding the line there for the time being. Ooh.
Sporter trying to keep hold of his angle to assist maybe Poketo here with the holding of the cash room, because right now the man is just in an absolute lot of trouble and can't really find a whole lot of success. But look, at the very least, he's keeping them at bay, and that's exactly what matters here, because the rest of the issues will be arising later on. Damp, though, does get the better of Paketo, but the castle barricades will be keeping the attackers at the very least away from the construction room, at least for a brief moment. So I have to watch and learn if there's going to be any kind of conclusion to that whole setup that lil Monash have themselves set up with, but maybe, just maybe, some things will be different here.
Yeah, very quick moves there by Tresp as well, just continuing to destroy any real information obSYDian's trying to find here in the bedroom for the time being, just holding down that particular spot. As you can see, a lot of things happening there for the time being. Things really rough. Sporter as well, relatively low on HP, only a sliver left. He's going to be seen there. He's going to be basically shot right out from Kadeem. Very easy pickings there, considering how low on HP he was. Kadeem, though, is going to take a bit of damage for his trouble. Tresp He's going to be throwing out a few more deployables just to try and hold the line here again a little bit. As our move made into construction. Nice quick shot there on the gun. We'll be able to find another member here for obSYDian. And now it's down for 2 versus 2. 15 seconds left on the clock. It's really going to be up to obSYDian to make a move now on this round 5. They're going to make a play. Admios is trying to get in, but as you can see, Trasp does manage to find another kill onto Damp. Now it's really going to be down to it. He's going to find a few shots on the side here, but he's going to just basically be walking into a wall. He's going to put the diffuser down, but isn't going to mean anything, and he's just going to die to the gas.
Yeah, Admiral's, look, a little bit of a overly ambitious decision to go in for that plant. Really just gets himself denied on that one, but I don't think that has a whole lot of real possibilities for the obSYDian player to really make any kind of a play with that lack of time, lack of opportunities, and lack of manpower even behind themselves. So, fair enough. Look, for lil Monash, at the very least, they give themselves the kind of the bare minimum points on whilst being on the defense. That is the 3 points in the first half. If they can make it a 4-2, this is most certainly going to be a very favorable game for them, I have to say, and it is definitely going to be a whole lot more difficult for obSYDian to make a return, albeit, well, Clubhouse is considered to be one of those maps that does allow the defenders to be a little bit feeling to be a little bit more comfortable. Sorry, a bit waffling there.
That's all good. I mean, that being said, we are going to have a change up once again. We are going back to a bit of familiar territory in the Church and Arsenal room. So let's look to see what lil Monash can do. Now they're probably feeling a little bit of confidence, managing to win 2 rounds back to back. Of course, obSYDian did that before in the earlier rounds and lost that momentum with lil Monash using the ability to make that turnaround. Now that we are moved this back, we do see there's going to be that 6-man coming through. Team, of course, now piloting that Ash and then roster instead. A little bit of difference coming across there. That last-minute turnaround, I mean, obSYDian, what's obSYDian trying to do with this particular change?
Well, for obSYDian, look, I gotta say, I think it's mainly just been the time management issue that has been kind of arising relatively frequently for themselves. It's kind of the continuous question of, well, how far do they need to go in for the push? How quickly do they need to open up certain opportunities for themselves? And because it's always been kind of that question, it's always been, yeah, they can frag out, but can they hold out on their own? That's kind of where I think majority of their problems kind of alluding to. Yes, they're good fraggers. They seem to have nailed down their coordination, but anything past that, it's kind of just all being shut down and destroyed.
Well, as that being said, Pokeju will also shut down a bit of that information coming across it from obSYDian as well. Just continuing to hold the line, and again, that idea of time management might start to be a bit of an issue here for obSYDian. Currently at 2 minutes in, and they've just lost a member. Strider has fallen down as well, taking a bit of damage. They managed to get a return onto 2 members here on the back of it. Kadim finding a kill. Naz managed to get another kill as well. Well, Damp gets the kill onto Yadabu. Admios also finds Trespass, and things just turn around completely for obSYDian. We're talking about time management being an issue, but they seem to be just completely cleaning house here. But Poke is now managing to hold the line for that a little bit more. He's looking for a few extra pot shots down the line. We'll throw out the deployable just to see if he can get a little bit of a kill on the side there. But of course, obSYDian have planted that diffuser as now. Now the pressure is on Poke to get in there with 38 seconds on the clock. Damp just going to be holding down the line here in the church for the time being as well. Happy to sit inside here, but of course we'll just turn around to poke the corner and get the kill in the end. And it is going to be obSYDian managing to even it up once again. And again, these guys just throwing out haymakers left and right. Jab, punch, dodge, you name it. In the end, it's still going to be a very quick and easy round, not quick and easy round here for obSYDian, but in terms of that one there, they seem to completely turn it around and manage to really speed up that tempo.
The issue that I did see with just this whole matchup in general is that obSYDian, the only times that they were able to gain themselves their 3 points were on that Church and Arsenal defense. Well, with them attacking it. So they've definitely put in quite some practice into going for the push onto that kind of very heavily reinforced positions. But the moment it involves any kind of flexibility behind some of the setups, behind some of the reinforcements, and some more wiggle room for movement for the defenders, it seems like they kind of get almost lost in how do they want to execute. And it kind of boils down to how quick on the wits are the rest of the teammates really are. So now that they are going on the defense now, I'm curious how will they really perform, because not only they have now Admios and Smoke, Shanks does bring out the Chunker, who's also extremely proficient at just holding off the push with the Shumicha launcher. So, whereas on the side of Monash, relatively all as kind of simplistic as it can be, minus kind of you swap out the Ace for a Thermite, but that's more so, I would imagine, a bit of a comfort pick rather than anything specific here. So, I think for Monash, this is going to be their main test as to how well can they play their cards right here.
Well, of course, like you said, we have swap sides. That means things do change around. obSYDian starting to speed up towards the end there, but now they need to slow it down. It's their turn to actually stop the advance of lil Monash, as you mentioned before. CCTV and Cash Room are going to be the objectives on the flip side here as well. So we can see a little bit of resource gathering there, or information being thrown out by Tresp as well. He's managing to get that in pretty fast. He's going to be fine a little bit, but eventually, of course, he's going to be taken down. As we can see there, we have opened up the breach here as well. We're on that second floor, and as you can see, they're trying to get in, but no crazy shenanigans just yet.
Now, a bit of droning being conducted by the Yana of Yodapug, trying to get some solid amount of information. Nothing too big just yet. Just kind of trying to find where it will be a good pressure point there for lil Monash, and looking for now, it's just a bit of a calm before the storm really here.
And now the question is, with lil Monash, and we can see obSYDian having some issues there. That being said, Poke has been found as well, so obSYDian now managing to find a bit of damage here as well. Good frags coming out across the board here. All the members, all the traps being sprung, and as we can see, Damp managing to find another member here for lil Monash as well. And now it's going to be down to Yodapug and Sporter to get in. They are on the top floor for the time being, trying to find a way through into the ceiling. They're going to be dropping down as well for the time being. No members waiting to greet them just yet, but of course, obSYDian probably very comfortable at the moment, considering the number of members have gone down. There's the first shot coming across there. It is going to be Yodapug finding Kadeem, managing to start the evening up of the scores here. They're beginning to push down through the bedroom now for the time being. We need to push things out, but of course, it's just going to be the line held here by both Damp and Shanks at this point, knowing exactly where both these members are. As you can see, just trying to open up a few more spots here as well for the time being. A few deployables also going out, but 50 seconds, the clock's starting to be brought down. Yodapug throwing out a few pre-fires just to see if perhaps can get lucky with the shots there. Another grenade going to be going out as well. Holding down the line, Shanks there is feeling a bit of the pressure. Will be found with that grenade as well. Double kill now coming across it for Yodapug. And lil Monash, they seem to be behind, but they really are beginning to bring this back. But with 30 seconds on the board, things are looking very hard there. Another deployable, or sorry, another throwable going out as well. Sporter trying to get in at this point in time. And we seem to have used the majority of their resources now to find that play into it. So obSYDian still 3 members strong for the time being. There we go. There's going to be the Yodapug being taken down there by Strider. And of course, in the end, is going to be Strider finishing everything off here as well. So as we can see, real good there. I love the attack there. These 2 members using great communication, but looks like it's just not going to be enough in the end.
Oh, yeah. Bit of an unfortunate pause for Monash to lose out one of their gamers, but one would hope that, look, they still will be able to make a recovery. For the time being, at the very least, what they can do is just talk it out as to what has been happening and see what can be fixed up.
I mean, you can see we're just going to be waiting for the time being. I think managing to get back. Looks like we might be okay going forward. Just needs to obviously get that pick in, but a little bit different there. Here we go. Does get Thermite on the construction site back there. Still, we're going to be running. We're going to be going into that church and arsenal room. So the defense here being swapped up a little bit for obSYDian. And as you can see, Pulse perhaps being swapped out. It's going to be Castle now being picked up here on the defense line. And Buck also having a quick change as well. It looks like we are going to be having a bit of last minute changes here for both these teams coming into this church Arsenal setup.
Oh yeah, look, Church and Arsenal looking pretty solid, gotta say. It is one of those sides that I'll still, even despite all the unfortunate losses for the defense, they were able to keep it still a relatively well defended side, but it's just it seems like the last moment kind of execution is what ends up being their downfall, their failure here. So maybe looking into something a bit more of a kind of play for more kind of reactive aggression could be the play here, I gotta say.
Well, that being said, I mean, 4-3 at the moment. obSYDian currently in the lead, but to be honest, no one running away with the game just yet. Every time we see a member manage to get 2 wins back to back, it seems to be just traded again by the other enemy on that side. So, again, a lot of things happening across the board here. We are finally in that action phase. 10 seconds in. Again, no crazy action here in terms of that. Trying to look at the plan here for lil Monash. What do you reckon would probably be the best entry of attack here?
I reckon actually something across the lines of just going for the kitchen hatch and playing around that could actually do just the right job here. Given the fact that so far both of the teams have been extremely proficient at just clearing out the top to bottom, making sure that they got their points set up and just trying to maybe play around that. Really, that's kind of gonna be my recommendation here for them. Albeit, Pokedo opening up that scoreline so well. It's already. Oh well, wait.
Wow,
The
that's
hand is actually
quick.
already starting to go down. Spotter's already on side.
Yeah, just inside there as well. Even has the pug as well on support here. And now obSYDian needed to be the ones to turn things around. Team able to find Tresp here, but now with 30 seconds left on the clock, 30 seconds now left on the clock to get in. But whoa, lil Monash just completely get everyone shut down in the pug. And of course, Bowie managed to find D. And the number of members here, it's really going to be down to it. And that was just so quick. They managed to just get in from behind, drop the diffuser, and you could see really at that moment in time, they had no real opportunity to get into it. Crazy in that sense.
According to our producer, Strider did commit the bit of a number 2 there for himself, which was quite an unfortunate. But look, 4-4 at the very least. I still gotta say, neither of the rosters looking overly like they're taking the L here. So it's at the very least, it's good to see that plenty of effort is being brought on board here by both sides, and it's still going to be neck and neck. I highly still doubt that there's going to be a very kind of dominant scoreline by the conclusion of this matchup, and I still think that this is going to be either somewhere across the lines of 7-5, or we are going to be going into the OT.
Attackers need to
But
locate and defuse bombs.
apart from that, look, yeah, it's been definitely a bit of that back and forth game of time.
Yeah, again, none of these guys holding any punches. It's really going to be slug for slug. If I had to imagine, again, a boxing match being put into it, none of them have their guards up and they're just throwing their punches at this moment in time. I mean, maybe the guards are up for probably, the first minute or so, and as soon as that guard comes down, it's just them flinging punches left, right, and right. And so it's very quick about this, just very quick sort of play initially when they do decide to get into it. It doesn't really slow down once they get started. We're back on Church and Arsenal as well. So again, there's these guys just holding in a few quick swaps there as well. Too gets to see as well the Castle swapped in for the Jaeger and the Ayana making their way onto the field. And we are now entering into that action phase, and quick little changes here coming across. Just perhaps making there a little bit of variation in what will be another Church and Arsenal game.
Actually, Mendrix, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you fancy yourself to be an occasional Iana player?
Occasional Iana player. No, not really. To be perfectly honest, no, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Thoughts on the changes for the scope for the Danish operator? Danish? I think she's Danish or Norwegian.
To find out. Yep. Producers, let us know. Danish, Norwegian, and give us a little bit of a thing on the side there. Look, I feel it's hard to say what I honestly want to believe what the changes on that scope is for me personally. Like I said, I haven't really gotten a chance to feel specifically how Hogan works in that sense and stuff. So it's not really something that I would jump into it. But what would you say? What would initially be the felt force of that change with the Ayana coming into it?
I think it's just more so kind of an attempt to maybe drop her drop rate here, or rather, sorry, pick rate here for the general public. I still think in the right hands, she's going to be still a very powerful operator and would be able to just absolutely decimate the opponents, especially with still ability to wield the frag grenades. It is huge.
I mean, that being said, we are going to see Tepug bringing around nonetheless. And like you said, perhaps maybe, you know, even with that change of that scope coming across, obviously just making it a little bit harder for this AEN to succeed on that sides there does draw a bit of a question there. But right now, no members still going down here at the moment. A lot of craziness happening on the side here. Just the hatch being opened up by Pokeju. A few of those chips come across stress, but a little bit low. Spotter also left for the time being. Damp finding a bit of damage on the side as well, and no real kills, no frags coming down just yet. A bit of a change up here. These guys haven't really sped up the action once they started to find these kills and these picks, or actually just getting these hit markers. They remain to keep it slow, a bit more of a methodical approach coming across from lil Monash.
Yeah, methodical is probably the best way to really describe it here. For Monash, they making sure that they keeping themselves on their toes, but with 30 seconds remaining, pushes do need to start happening. On the side of obSYDian, yeah, look, still the health disadvantage is there, but it's still all in a realm of they can still contest those gunfights in a relative comfort of some of their spots. With 15 seconds remaining, though, obSYDian has done a phenomenal job draining the time. This will be forcing Monash to just full-on send and right into the sights of the defenders. Strider already on the double, Strider on the triple. Could it be a quad, though? Now, that is the big question here, but no, Shanks is the one to claim the final frag. Flawless for obSYDian, as they're now the ones back into the lead with the points.
It's crazy to think this is a flawless round, considering how low all the members on both sides were. So you would have thought, hey, maybe there would have been at least a return frag in that particular round there. But for them to just completely just hold that line, wait for their moment to strike and come on through, pretty good on the sense of that one there. So very well played there. Although we are still obSYDian currently up in the lead, moving into that round 10, currently 5-4. We're looking perhaps again to CCTV in Cash Room, who's going to be the play on the side here. And no crazy changes here. That being, as I say, that Tachenka going to be making a move onto the board. And obSYDian here just trying to, you know, keep lil Monash on their toes. Perhaps this is going to be the little bit of the variation that they need to take it across the line and finally get the win in this first map.
It looked quite possibly. This would be kind of the decision here for Monash. Look, they need to make sure that they're not really letting up a whole lot of ground here for obSYDian, because obSYDian they strike me as that team that the moment you give them even a brief moment to get the momentum, the moment you allow them any kind of funny stuff, that's where they absolutely just decimate their opponents. And that's kind of what so far this whole thing been kind of alluding to. It's just kind of obSYDian, the moment they are being given a centimeter to just bite away, they bite off the whole, probably a borderline kilometer at this point, really. And for Monash, a few cracks been showing through, but offense still relatively well-paced, albeit, well, I say well-paced. The previous round did conclude in them needing.
Oh, it was quick. It was so quick on that one. But I mean, like in terms of like this is the thing. They do manage to find their moments, and I think when they do, you can tell it's definitely something that was perhaps that moment when obSYDian was just basically caught with their pants down. Such a quick plan of that diffuser, I believe it was, and around that round 8 as well. So a lot of different things happening here, but. You can see lil Monash for the time being. Our one's under pressure at the moment. They really need to make sure they can grab this round up coming up next. obSYDian as well, feeling it a bit, but can be a little bit comfortable with the fact that they're currently 1 up. Not too much craziness happening here for the time minute, but we are 2 minutes into the map, and now, as you can see, lil Monash finally beginning to make their way in, just peeking ever so slowly, but no one really finding anyone at this moment in time.
Yeah, look. Monash realized that maybe kind of balls to the wall whole approach is not particularly the brightest of the choices, so we are going to be seeing a slightly more of a fallen back kind of play there. Kadim, trying to get some early contestants in him, will be pretty much denied of that play, at least for the brief moment, and only takes some bit of damage. But for Monash, look, they already managed to make it at the very least to the construction hallway, so some progress from that could be achieved, especially with the frag grenades that has been thrown around from Tresp.
Oh!
This could be a huge play, but what is a huge play is from Kadim, who just absolutely positively lands a very phenomenal C4 play there.
Yeah, I really love that. You can tell it was a bit choreographed. They were trying to like poke through that hole to get that throwable in there, and that really allowed obSYDian to just say, yep, no worries, this is for us to put that C4 down, and completely blows away Pokeju. So This is really rough now for Little Monash. Like now down to the last minute that's available here. It's really going to be down a man as well. 5-4 at this point in time. You can see all of them relatively healthy across the board. Sporter is a bit chipped down. So things are here really looking rough for Little Monash here. They now need to really start going. We see some gas coming down as well for the time being, but again, not been able to find their way in just yet. Just Tresp just poking in there. Doesn't have Bowie with a little support as well. AEST as well, just holding down that line there. We can see Strider and Damp there continuing to hold that little poke, that little peak position as well. And really, Little Monash need to go now. It has to be at this moment in time. They need to jump in and get that plant down. And now they make their move as well. As you can see, Bowie is holding this point here. We're going to have one of the members here. There's going to be Shanks that's going to be taken out as well. Tresp in front of his. Strider drops down as well. They managed to get the diffuser down at this point, and now things just completely flip around here. Tresp also being able to massacre the point. Damp's trying to shoot through the wall, but isn't going to find anything. Down to a sliver, and he's going to be taken down in the end as well. And what a quick way to turn it around. They make their move, get to that diffuser down, and then they just completely completely out-frag their opponent.
Yeah, look, there we go, Monash. The round that looked initially a bit concerning for them, they managed to bring it back 5 apiece. Now, round 11 is obviously going to be one of the more deciding kind of rounds, and looking at the scoreboard as well, a double digit for Damp, double digit for Tresp as well, already looking very nice and very fresh overall. But 5-5, this is where we are going to be deciding which team is going to be having, at the very least, the comfort zone of having, at the very least, overtime guaranteed for them.
Yeah, this is going to be for the entire pot. For this particular map, that being said, I mean, both of these players have just been back-to-back, basically bringing everything early. I mean, obSYDian, just all they needed to do, it was looking so good in that initial round, was just hold down that line. That's exactly what they did. But Little Monash, when they were able to just use that right amount of information, understand where the members were, understood they had already managed to get rid of the C4 beforehand, just managed to get in there, out-frag, like I said. That was really just them understanding this is where all the members are, and we're relying on our mechanics to get us through. So pretty crazy play there coming across from Little Monash. Now, you know, we're going to be on that round 11, as you said. It's going to be for everything that's going to be available here. Again, having a little bit of that extra buffer of that map is going to be huge. Of course, if there's going to be a draw, Little Monash will be confirmed to get through into that next round. obSYDian needs to find the win here. They basically need to be able to win these next 2 rounds, otherwise, in order to find their confirmation. So a lot of things on the line here, but Little Monash has a little bit of extra cushioning.
Yeah. Monash definitely have the cushioning for themselves. They need to, at the very least, I believe, win out this map. But again, we'll have to see if that is going to be the actual case here, because look, it's been so much back and forth that it's genuinely very scary to watch. Watch both of the rosters kind of just duke it out, trying to make a play there for themselves and keep the dream alive, because yeah, at the moment it's quite certainly a bit of a nail biter here. Yeah, it's up in the air.
Yeah, you can cut the tension with a knife. That's how crazy it is at the moment. You said Tresp was just peeking inside.
Yeah, Paquetto is the one to actually open up onto Shanks, and getting better off Shanks is actually a huge thing here, because once again, Chunker, one of the kind of what was initially considered to be the substitute pick for Smoke, now being kind of picked in tandem with him, could be an absolutely devastating operator to get the better of Paquetto with a double already. And that is the control of the cash now overtaking. This is absolutely huge performance here. Yoda Pug as well, swinging in and getting the better of Strider as well. And just, it's such a colossal snowball effect here, which is just impossible to really contest here by obSYDian, it feels.
Yeah, Little Monash with nerves of steel managing to get their way back into it. And like you said, it was an absolute, basically, avalanche directly afterwards. Just a snowball effect. Kadeen, though, very quickly gets that kill off the side here, but is going to be found by Sporter. Now it's really going to be up to AEST to see if he can clutch this out, but already taking some damage here. Is down to the last slivers of HP here. He's beginning to move around the corners looking for those extra shots here, but is now basically stuck between a rock and a hard place. As you can see, Tresp throwing out a few extra throwables into the side here. AEST is going to be shot from behind in the end, and Little Monash managing to take away map 1.
Exactly. We just actually have also been confirmed that
Oh.
lil Monash can be safe with a draw, or while obSYDian needs to win to have a chance for making playoffs. So right now, So with that said, Monash now have pushed themselves onto the match point, only one round away from scoring out the clubhouse and possibly ruining the chances for obSYDian. But we'll have to see. For the time being, Church and Arsenal Room, this is the side that obSYDian managed so far to just absolutely perfect and not really allow Monash with any kind of progression, neither on the attack nor on the defense. So I'm curious to witness if any changes will be brought on board here by currently the attacking roster, because they have certainly had a few very concerning parts to their performance.
Well, the big thing here is to make sure that they're going to not be too trigger happy when getting into it. I know I was a little bit when I was saying, hey, they managed to take this out. Not going to be the case. Like you said, that match point has come through. And now lil Monash here, looking for their way to get in. I feel the momentum just seems to be a little bit different now. They're going to be definitely sweating it through. And this is the moment, again, that Nerves of Steel needs to be there for this to actually come across, because lil Monash, if they manage to get this win down, they guarantee the draw. That means they're going to be confirming their place in, ruining it for obSYDian. obSYDian has to win this particular round, bring it back, basically come back online, and then win the next one as well. It has to be a two all or nothing for obSYDian, whereas lil Monash happy to go away with a draw.
If things do not go too hopeful for obSYDian, I would imagine that the second map may end up being a little bit more relaxed performance, given that, well, for obSYDian, this just means that, well, they can play for an upset, but I don't think they will be revealing anything too spicy. So I do certainly think that the morale is going to be very much depending on the conclusion of this very map. So obSYDian, on the cusp of possibly losing out their chances, are going to try to do their best to push this into overtime. Funnily enough, there is quite an interesting change of the roster for the lil Monash with the introduction of Flores to the board, as well as Bowie continuing to keep on maining the Jackal.
A little bit of roaming potential being mixed on the side here, but now we can see it 2 minutes in, or a minute already elapsed at this point in time. He just does a bit of quick profile. Does see that there's actually going to be a drone making its way down, and we'll take that one out, trying to deny as much information as possible. lil Monash taking this one much slower than before. As I mentioned before, these do sometimes jump in a little bit too gung-ho. We can lose them early, but bring it back around. Trust P continuing to open up some peaks there. We begin to shoot down, but nothing too much on the side of it at the end. And as you can see there, we'll see a few shots come up. Nothing's going to land for both the teams on this side. And they've managed to find the bomb, and Togeju has been found by Kadim. It's going to be now a 5 versus 4. obSYDian now in a much stronger position from before, especially with 1 minute left, but we have seen lil Monash turn this around in previous rounds.
Exactly. Well, lil Monash have all the chances here, really, to try to just push it as hard as they can. 4v4 is still very much workable for either one of the sides, so we'll have to wait and see who will actually come out the victor here, because losing a Maverick on the attack and losing the Melusi, I definitely would have to say that this is much more in favor of the defense kind of win here.
Like you said, it seems to be favoring them it does favor obSYDian on the defense. Currently 4 versus 4 in that sense, but lil Monash do have the momentum. Winning those inter runs has that match point. The gas coming down here as well in the end, but isn't going to actually be able to find anyone on the side there. We'll be throwing out that drone just to get a bit more of information if possible. But again, no real move made from the side of it. But there is the move that obSYDian managed to find a kill on the side here. But there's also going to be traded out in the end. Strider for Bowie. Tress is going to be able to find out Strider in this case. 3 versus 3 in the end there. But we do have Minos managing to take a kill on the Yo to Target. It is going to be a round win here for obSYDian, managing to even it up once more. So, wow, a bit of craziness here. It means that lil Monash won't be able to hold on to those nerves of steel, and we're going into overtime.
There we go. There we go. obSYDian continuing to keep on battling, trying to keep it in in their favor for as long as one can possibly keep it really here, because it's been definitely a very, very much of a roller coaster of emotions, gotta say. Both teams want to ensure that they have all the possible chances for the dub, but it is most certainly only going to be the one team to come out as a victor here. So, look, Pulse for Shanks to try to maybe introduce some spiciness. It is definitely a change of pace in general for the operator pick, so this should still bring in just the right amount of unpredictability into the roster's picks. Whereas on the side of Monash, really, well, they keep on bringing in the buck. They keep on trying to maybe adjust for some of the plays that are being conducted by the obSYDian roster, but we haven't really seen too big of a change in that performance. So that's probably the main concern here for me personally.
You're just basically relying on that comfortability to get themselves over the line, and has been working up to a degree, but obSYDian, bringing in those variations, has able to combat that pretty damn effectively. That's why it is a 6-6, that's why it's overtime as well. obSYDian again beginning to hold the line. Now, like you said, that Pulse has come in, does mean they'll have a little bit of that action ability to sense members floating around here for lil Monash. And so now it's going to be up to lil Monash to just be a little bit more careful coming into it. And they are taking their time as well. I think you said that time management was an issue for obSYDian. Seems to be now creeping up as an issue for lil Monash as well. And you can see Spotters getting in position to actually breach as well. He's going to be able to pull that one through. No one really raiding there for the time being. Has a diffuser as well. But a number of things that are happening just yet. But it's going to be a kill found here on the side of lil Monash. It is going to be Trest finding Kadim. Now bringing it down to a 4 versus 5. Plenty of time still left on the clock here for lil Monash to continue going forward, and decent advantage being built here now.
Yeah, if obSYDian lose out on this position, this could be a huge, huge upset really here for them. It is interesting to see the moment it does get down to the very big decider between the two rosters, both of the teams slow down quite substantially with their momentum, with the way how they want to execute, and it's certainly is quite a heavy change of pace. It's quite difficult to figure out which one will end up coming out the one victorious, because right now 4v4 definitely.
Yeah, and there was no repercussions for that as well, that trade out as well.
Exactly.
The big thing here is the diffuser was dropped by Sporter. So that does mean obSYDian now putting themselves in a bit of a better position in this turnaround as well. As you can see now, Bowie's trying to find some shots here as well. Does get a bit of chip damage onto the side here. Shanks is the person that's falling down a little bit of HP, but is still holding that place in position. Again, diffuser still yet to be picked up, and now with a minute left on the clock, it's starting to get down to the wire.
Indeed. Maybe 50 seconds remain. The pushes need to start coming about, because look, if not now, there's not going to be a second chance here, really, especially on Clubhouse. And for obSYDian, this is their, well, one last chance, really, to make a return, make a play, because only 35 seconds. Still 4v4, very withdrawn gameplay, like I said. It is certainly going to be down to the nail, down to the wire. 4v3, Damp does find the better of Yoda Pug, but at the very least, the plant is starting to go down. Paketu trying to stick the plant. Admios is down. It is all looking a little bit dicey here for the obSYDian roster, but no, actually, Tresp is the one to be the last one alive. The overtime, the diffuser has been planted. Playing for time, no. Can't find the safe zone. Gets absolutely eliminated. obSYDian keep their dream alive.
What a way to get that ending as well. It was looking, like I said, a little bit unfortunate for obSYDian when they did lose that one member down to that initial map there. And as you can see here now, they are going to be making a swap around once again. Over time at match point, going to be the name of the game. And now it's going to be up to lil Monash to get back into the defensive frame of mind. obSYDian now need to get back into attacking mode. We're talking about time management being an issue for obSYDian, but perhaps with the momentum coming off a win in the last round, maybe they might actually have an opportunity to really push here, because pressure is now starting to really pile up for lil Monash. Like you said, obSYDian need to get this and then win the next one. Lil Monash, all they need to do is find the win here, and then they don't have to worry about it. Again, that cushioning will be gone if obSYDian is able to take this win here, and then it's going to be up for grabs, that confirmation who's going to be coming out in this particular group.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Tension is at all-time high here in the camps of both of the teams. Really here, even you start looking at some of the picks that are coming out. For Bowie, for example, decision to bring in the mute is the one that really kind of tickles my fancy. On the side of obSYDian, Kadeem to be busting out the Ying definitely starts to possibly allude for obSYDian maybe testing out the waters for a little bit more of an aggressive play, very kind of momentum based. The moment they establish their ground, Ying and Dels go out, they go in for the push, and this is where kind of they try to maybe make the play. And if Ying can stay alive for that long, then 100%. obSYDian have all the rights to win this. But if lil Monash will be able to shut down Kadeem, if they can shut down players like Shanks as well, like Strider, this is going to be an extremely difficult round for obSYDian to take, purely for the fact that they are going to be missing some very key utility bits to allow them to actually make their way onto the site. Sorry. Mind blanked out there for a brief moment.
Hey, when the game's been going this long, you know, a bit of mind blanks can happen, and I've definitely had my fair share of them, especially the fact that, hey, you know, I couldn't even remember what the big difference is for Iana when it comes to that damn scope. So, that being said, though, these players don't seem to have that same issue. A lot of them are playing around this pretty damn well inside here. Again, we are going to have Strider just begin to open things up there with Kadeem just on the support there just before, when if it opens up a little bit too soon, for them to realize in that peak. And now Sporter here, just looking to hold down the garage for the time being. Admios is on that flip side as well. And here, you know, 2 minutes still left on the clock. Still plenty of time to play with in terms of it, but 1 minute with that countdown as well. And no real entry here from lil Monash is the beginning to become the problem here. But they have found the bomb. Now beginning to shoot on the side here. No damage being found, but again, there's a little bit of craziness happening.
This is an interesting position that obSYDian attempted to actually take, attempting to essentially flush out the rafters from an upside down rappel. I commend that idea, but thankfully for the lil Monash boys, they have accounted for that probability and for all the possibilities here. So they are going to be in a little bit more of a withdrawn game, but Strider is already in. Strider is actually going in full control of the red stairs, albeit Kadeem is down, so it's all of his position, all of his play. If he can make it work, this is going to be a phenomenal turnaround, gotta say.
Well, we can see now going to be a 3 versus 4. Kadeem has managed to get back up here. Shanks now holding down the line. He's going to find a few shots here, but still members dropping left, right, instead of obSYDian. It's now going to be all on one of the members here that's left over. Shanks is the person that's holding it back. Lil Monash now has the members there. Still beginning to hold this defensive line down. 30 seconds to go. Doesn't even have a diffuser. I feel like this is going to be a really rough spot for Shanks to get in. Yep.
Dieter will be in. Well, he does end up falling, albeit, again, not over yet. Thanks to obSYDian's previous efforts, they were able to push this into their own overtime match point. So if they are able to come back from this, push this one last round into their favor, this is where lil Monash will be able to prevail. So I have to see what is going to be the end result. A quick peek at the scoreboard once again will be confirming how cracked obSYDian obSYDian are. A bit of a trades of twos here in the rounds, at least in the very first half, and then the beginning of the second half does allude to that very case. But apart from that, you look at the obSYDian, the very top heavy on the frags, 3 players on the double digits. The rest are still yet to kind of play that game of catch up and see what can be achieved there. But
you don't need it. I mean,
7-7.
all you need is one player really, you know, doing the heavy lifting at the moment. It seems to be Trest at this point as well. So let's see if that continues to be the performance in these overtime matches. These players have been basically going, you know, head to head this entire time with no breaks, and pretty crazy right now. They're into another overtime match point. So let's see what ends up happening here. is going to be back on Church and Arsenal again, so a little bit of familiar ground for both of these teams. Church and Arsenal seems to be one of the mainly played setups here on this particular map. But
5 seconds.
again, just sitting in that preparation phase, waiting for that action phase to start into position here. A few peaks being opened up, a bit of setup there being put into place there. And let's see how this plays out. How will lil Monash begin to make their way into this and actually begin to close things out? Will obSYDian be able to hold the line continuously? I mean, these guys have been able to really push lil Monash to the brink, and it has been the same on the flip side. Lil Monash really stretching obSYDian thin in a number of places. You think obSYDian has it, and lil Monash are just able to bring it back, and then with a quick snapfire plays from obSYDian to really capitalize on those plays left and right when they do manage to get an advantage, really has been seen throughout this match.
Yeah, some early advantage seems to be kind of the play of the game here from both of the rosters. Not much can be said apart from that, just purely for the sheer fact of that. Oh my lord! Already, well, that early damage has been already finally committed. It's a rat race between the two of the rosters as to who can be the better one to get the earlier frag, really. And it seems for now it is the lil Monash guys that are just putting in the work, putting in the time, putting in the yards even. And with Kadim out of the equation, well, it's whilst not the biggest loss out of all of the operators, losing out on another set of C4 and a very flexible fragging operator is certainly
a problem. It hurts. And I feel bad for Kadim as well, because he was actually looking in that spot. He was like, yeah, no one's there, I'm moving on. Moves on, immediately gets shot here. Speaking of people getting immediately shot, Shanks also has been found as well, just through the floor. That's pretty good stuff here. Lil Monash really beginning to turn it up right now. And now with that two-man advantage, he's going to be able to push through. We've seen Lil Monash, do more with less. So looking pretty good here. It's going to be up to obSYDian to really pull up that last little bit of form and performance to actually bring this back around. AOC is going to be holding down this line, as you can see here, just chilling out there. We do have Damp making their way into the utility room as well now, just beginning to slowly slide down this line. I mean, lil Monash still has that two-man advantage, but with 48 seconds on the clock, now need to make their move. And that being said, we can see that Damp is going to be found as well. So another member going down. A few more deployables still available. That's a nice shot there as well. As you can see, AOC is going to be found out. Strider there manages to at least get both edge. He does manage to find it there, but it's just not going to be enough. And it looks like it is going to be lil Monash taking this one out.
There we go. Monash, after very much of a back and forth, a bit of a shaky stance at the kind of middle ground of the matchup, do end up concluding the first map in their favor, making Clubhouse an 8-7 scoreline. Very much both teams had the right to essentially earn the dub, but unfortunately for obSYDian, just things did not end up working out. They couldn't really string a whole lot of rounds, a whole lot of frags together, and well, the final defense on the Church and Arsenal finally fell through, despite all of their very solid performances previously, both on attack and on defense.
Yeah, I couldn't put it any better myself with that ending scream. That a hard-fought victory indeed. So obSYDian brought out all the stops, but it still just wasn't enough. Lil Monash managing to take that one away. Still have some more action though still coming up. So guys, we'll go into a quick break, and we still have the second match of lil Monash up against obSYDian. Please do not go anywhere.
Before we're done.
From classic iced tea flavours like peach or mango to exotic lychee or pomegranate, you can enjoy your Chatime any way you like. Chatime, shaking tea up.
Before we're done.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my
Our delicious new gingerbread and white chocolate Chatime is available in your choice of milky or frozen iced tea, or made hot, so you can enjoy it any way you like. Chatime, shaking tea up.
And welcome back to Australian Esports University League for Rainbow Six Siege. Once again, I'm Mendrix, and joining me is Cthulhu. And guys, if you are just joining us now, we did have lil Monash just basically triumph in that first map against obSYDian. Pretty crazy game there across a lot of shots being fired back and forth. And we do have the stats up. Cthulhu, you mind helping me break this one down?
Yeah, 100%. Look, the clubhouse did end up going all the way, all 15 rounds. We've seen obSYDian do their absolute darn best, but unfortunately just couldn't really close it out on the final round. 12, 11, and 12 for Damn Kadim and Strider, respectively, for the side of obSYDian. On the side of lil Monash, look, gotta say, Tresp with the top performer of the whole game, actually, and of the whole lobby, followed up by Poketo and Sporter, just pushed and forced the team as much as possible. You look even at the KPR, his is one of the highest one as well, but funnily enough, entries have been a bit of a scarce performance. Both teams have been a little bit kind of back and forth, a bit shaky, a bit inconsistent on when it came down to actually making an entry, actually finding some first bloods. But look, that still didn't keep away lil Monash from achieving the dub. Now, we are going into Cafe Dostoevsky. That is our second match. And look, the map gave poor two-tap Tony a stroke in an attempt to pronounce. I believe Nuttery also admitted to that. Look, I'm definitely, I gotta say, it is one of the maps that it still has some factor of unpredictability.
Yep.
But it's definitely one of those maps that's slowly becoming kind of one of the more frequently used picks by quite a plethora of teams.
So I just want to confirm on that one there. I mean, look, a lot of even our observers have trouble saying this. Diastevsky. See, even I can't say it, right? Diastevsky. Is that what it is? I think I got it there on that particular side there. It's
Dostoevsky.
or Dostoevsky. Well, that was all right. I think I made that one.
Almost there.
I made that
almost
one.
there.
We'll stick with that one there. But look, right off the bat here again, looks to be pretty similar bans to what we saw from the last map. Although we do have a little bit of a change here. obSYDian banning Jackal, but Thatcher was the first one off the board in the previous round. Again, Thatcher pretty damn strong on that one. What is the iteration here in terms of getting rid of the Jackal this time around?
Jackal change, I certainly have to say that this is a bit of a kind of a target ban, given the fact that it's just Monash were quite proficient with how they were able to lure out certain players with the Jackal, and he was quite a key operator to wedge some of the roamers out. So with him now out of the equation, it is, well, firstly, the ban phase does feel a little bit more kind of leaning towards the ranked ban rather than the normal ban in competitive pool. But with him being eliminated, it is certainly going to be introducing a few questions for how well can Monash really roam clear once they get to the attacking side, and maybe an introduction of somebody like a Lion, somebody like a DKB will be in play, albeit I don't think any of those 5 players within the Monash roster would be too keen to bring either of those operators. But funnily enough, on obSYDian, we finally see a first pick of Flores, I believe.
Yeah, that is coming into a man. Just a nice little quick swap there towards the end, and lil Monash opting in to go for Bar and Cocktail here for that first setup on their defense. And this is, the map that lil Monash did choose as well. I think something just as a quick tidbit to throw in there, lil Monash is now confirmed for playoffs there, and perhaps maybe now that weight has been lifted off their shoulders that they've managed to take that first one, we might see a different lil Monash here. Tresp has been playing extremely well, as he noted in the stats beforehand, but now we're looking for the rest of the members there. Yoda Pug, Sporter, of course, Pokeju to sort of step up that gameplay, and of course, hoping that obSYDian can match up to what might be a very momentum-heavy lil Monash coming into this second match.
10 seconds remaining.
Could certainly be.
5 seconds left.
Gotta say, Bowie on Maestro
Attackers are
did
moving out
not
to locate a bomb and
particularly
defuse it.
invigorate me or give me any hope in some of the chances of the anchor play, albeit, look, maybe man needs some chart time, because shout out to our wonderful partners for the AEL. They've definitely been making all of this happen for quite a while now, and shout out to them for supporting us in every shape or form. But look, for now, maybe this time, maybe map number 2, maybe the cafe, that it is the pick of lil Monash as well. He's going to be the much more successful play here for Bowie and the rest of the team. But hey, look, at the very least, I gotta say, obSYDian has now all the operators and all the utility to try to wedge out each and every one of those positions. So maybe this is where they finally regain their momentum, because unfortunately for them, I believe this is pretty much the fact that they lost the clubhouse. This is it for their chances for the playoffs. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, production.
I mean, I think we can probably still, there might be an opportunity, I believe, from what I understand, depending on the way the rest of the maps play out. I think it was just, the idea is that this was for confirmation, so we still have to wait and see what the rest of the games will be played out throughout the season. So maybe there might be an opportunity for obSYDian to get back into it. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, because they could still tie out and then have a different play coming up as the rest of the games are coming into it. And that being said, currently a minute and 30 has elapsed, and obSYDian still haven't put a major dent up against the defense of lil Monash for the time being. They are beginning to make their way in. Opted in to get in from on top of the roof. Most of their members here. We're just happy to sit behind the shield there, but it's just going to back away for the time being as the grenade does go out, and it will be destroying the defense inside there. But still, no HP coming down. As I say that, Kadeem is going to be taken out there by Sporter, and now it's going to be a quick advantage here towards lil Monash. Sporter is down on HP for the moment, so hasn't been traded out, so still might be able to find a few extra shots onto another member there before going down. Tresp is beginning to shoot on the side here as well, holding down on that shotgun, and just a lot of different things here coming across. The gas has come down, and Strider here is going to be sitting in the cigar lounge, just holding himself back there, but we do have Damp finding a kill onto Pokeju, and that is a nice find there on the side of it, now bringing it to a 4 versus 4, and we are coming down for that last 30 seconds.
last 30 seconds. Hopes and prayers there, because right now full-on push is happening. Adrian's trying to hold an angle into the freezer. Does actually land a shot onto the yet another Monash gamer, all leaving down to Yodapug and Bowie, and are in relatively safe positions right now on a flank around. Yodapug could introduce that much needed. Oh, upset, there it is. obSYDian dropped the diffuser all down to Strider. 1v2, no chances whatsoever, too many angles to contest, and the man just crumbles under the pressure. Quite an unfortunate loss in a round there for obSYDian, albeit look, they've tried their best, but look, first round still is going to be going into the hands of the lil Monash gamers.
It is to be expected to a degree. I mean, lil Monash did pick this map, the previous map that they managed to be victorious on. Again, hard-fought battle, pretty damn good form there from both the teams, but obSYDian were the ones that picked that map, weren't able to find the dub, as you were mentioning before. Lil Monash here, we're hoping that these guys can continue to do this run. If obSYDian manage to take a win here, it will be an upset on Cafe.
Upset on Cafe could be yet another kind of thing for us, for both of us, as a matter of fact, to really watch out for, because Monash already, comparative to Clubhouse, looking much more comfortable. With 1 point confirmed by the way, Monash now have 90% chance of making playoff. A win would 100% confirm playoff. So there we go.
Look, my maths was off. I'm sorry, guys. Well, you know, 90%,
like that.
90%'s are pretty good. I mean, like, I would, okay, if you were to go into a casino and make a bet, and there's a 90% chance that you were going to win that bet, you would probably make that bet. You'd probably put a pretty good, like, if someone just came and said, yeah, 90% chance, do this, I'd make that bet just quietly. I'd throw it out there.
I'd still have to say that, yeah, look, 90% chance, I'd probably take those odds, I gotta say. It's one of those kind of turnouts that I think that right now for Monash, look, they are just playing for the fun. They are experimenting. They are bringing some of the more maybe ranked mentality into some of their plays, which is kind of allowing them to find some of those like very unconventional swings. Because that early frag in round number 1 by, I believe it was actually Tress, or oh no, pardon me, Sporter. His position already was revealed and the ballistic shield was taken down, so he did it in the kind of the post-destruction time and was still able to run away for a brief moment before getting shut down amidst that whole push.
Well, still no crazy action here in this round 2 for Cafe now. As you can see, lil Monash is quite happy to sit back, relax, let obSYDian come to them. I mean, there's been a few entry points on the side here, but like, as in, hasn't really elapsed in any major action coming across here.
I don't think there will be a whole lot of major action, at least from Monash, purely for the factor that, look, they already acquired the cheeky dub. They managed to get themselves sorted. Now it's just more so, can they kind of find some enjoyable gamer times for themselves, and if not, well then, well, just move on to prep for playoffs, possibly.
And I guess that is an idea as well. I mean, look, like you said, looking pretty damn comfortable now with that first win underneath their belt. So that means they can, you know, play things around a little bit. Maybe perhaps, you know, even hide a few of their strategies that might be available. That's perhaps why we're seeing maybe a difference in the picks. Sometimes you do want to hide that information away from your opponents. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're playing, you know, these particular operators now on Cafe, and that means they don't understand that's what's going to be banned away, or perhaps what needs to be prepared for, and just, you know, flip the switch, go back to what they're more comfortable on when it comes down to that one.
Yeah, the comfort picks is definitely a huge factor here, and if all of them are very able and very keen on going on some of the more frag-heavy operators, more possibilities to them. Yeah, Strider finding the shot onto Sporter, and the man who was able to find the opening frag in round number 1, certainly looking to, well, now bring a little bit of maybe of an upset, because he already just copped the second one, and that is already Tresp as well out of the equation. Damp gets his own, and right now it's all down to Puketu and Bowie, both of which could frag out. They have all the guns and all the utilities, just more so down to their positioning and the synergy between each other.
Well, looking pretty rough there, and that pretty much just closes it out. I mean, like you said, it had the opportunity to perhaps go for the frag outs in the end there, but obSYDian playing it too carefully, too well on the side here, do show us that they're still here to fight, get whatever points that they can throughout this competition. So they're not just going to come through and let lil Monash walk away with the wins. Now putting up a little bit of it, or showing us at least some signs of life. That being said, that we do have the kitchen service in kitchen cooking once again being picked up here around into this round 3 by lil Monash, just continuing to hold down that same area and saying, you know what, again, execution was the issue there. We're looking pretty comfortable. Just need to twitch things a little bit in terms of how we do jump into this particular setup.
They have to agree with you on this one, Mendrix, because look, right now,
Attackers need to
both
locate
teams
and
kind of
defuse
return to
bomb.
the whole idea of like, yeah, let's keep on trading blows really here and just see what can be achieved kind of out of all of that, out of all of these shenanigans. Because look, so far both teams just absolutely blasting through their oppositions and without giving a whole lot of chances for any form of redemption, really. So gotta say, still well done, both roster doing just absolutely phenomenal job. obSYDian though, gotta say, look, Strider, the moment that man is activated, I don't think there's a single safe spot there for Monash to really hide in.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
It's true, right? I mean, we were looking at it here, and it seems that the top performers, I mean, it's still early in the round, still round 3, still lots to happen to go through, but when I'm looking at some of the top performers we had in the previous rounds, I mean, especially looking at Tresp, Tresp now not having the hottest round here on Cafe, actually falling down a few more times than necessary, and perhaps you might see a little bit of a change around if these players do unlock perhaps some of the other ones around. If they are feeling this round a little bit more, could see a different result, not just in the player scores, but of course in the actual results of the map. And obSYDian might be able to take one away from lil Monash. We are currently at 2 minutes 20. Nothing too crazy happening here just yet. Again, a lot of peeking there. Strider does hit a bit of chip damage, and as I say that, Strider also manages to get Yoda Pug in the process of that chip damage. So a good trade out for obSYDian here, 2 minutes into round 3. Now, lil Monash feeling the pressure, feeling the heat, a bit hot under the collars here as they are down that extra man. Poke Edu just looking to hold down what seems to be the corridor here for the time being, is trying to see if there's anyone in this map, is being pretty damn careful here, but a lot of angles that need to be covered there, a bit of extra shots, and is just going to retreat down the stairs.
Them early losses for Monash, bespelling that obSYDian might have already started adapting to some of that kind of monkeying around that Monash tried to introduce ever since round 1, so it's a good sign that obSYDian are still very much keen to keep on adapting, keep on doing their best to try to push this and to make the chances, well, whilst chances are still very high for lil Monash to qualify for playoffs, try to make them as lower as they can be after the conclusion of Cafe Dostoevsky. So it is still certainly in anyone's game. obSYDian, for the time being, though, they are very well aware that even though they did get the early frag, Monash could very much overturn that in a minute of in a matter of just a few taps.
Well, 48 seconds now here as well. It's pretty much go time now for obSYDian. We do have Strider just looking to find some extra peaks here down from the train museum. He's going to throw a grenade out, see if he can catch someone out luckily, but no real results off the back of this. And finally, we do have a bit of action coming inside here. Shanks gets Tresp as he continues to push down on this side here. Now it's really going to be down to Poke Edu, but as you can see, Sporter goes down, Bowie goes down to 5 versus 1. Things not looking good for lil Monash as we are ending the round here on the side. They still have to plant, though. Get the diffuser out of the way if that's going to be it. They do manage to, by looks of things, get that diffuser down for the time being right within that last 10 seconds here. But in the end, it's going to be a flawless round win here coming across here for obSYDian, and this is really good signs of life coming across here. Again, we were expecting that perhaps maybe the sales would be a bit deflated coming into the second map, but completely different. They're showing us that this obSYDian team is here to play.
Yeah, look, obSYDian still, maybe that whole loss on Clubhouse gave them a little bit more of a spur, kind of, hey, it's maybe time to get a little bit more serious, get, at the very least, the revenge, just at the very least for themselves. So I rate this. I rate this from obSYDian. They have been doing a really good job of just deconstructing the whole setup that lil Monash were trying to bring in. Albeit now we are going to Bar and Cocktail Lounge. Shanks to switch on over from Ying to Flores to hope to get rid of as many of the information gathering utilities as possible before the actual push commences. And if that does work out, look, maybe, just maybe, Monash will lose yet another round for themselves. Because apart from that, look, obSYDian, they're looking still pretty good, but they need to find those early frags for themselves to reinforce their position, to allow themselves that kind of borderline, I could even say, confidence in their plays.
Yeah, it's an excellent point that you bring up there as well, Cthulhu, that idea of how slow these teams have actually been playing these rounds. Information denial seems to be becoming more important, and that swap around and that recognition bringing the Flores by obSYDian means that they're just trying to, again, just stop the ability from lil Monash to know where they're going to be basically pressing their attack and shutting down and planning their traps appropriately. So good little mix-up here from obSYDian just to keep the variety rolling. And again, lil Monash here need to show us that they are, again, here to play. I mean, if they do manage to get a win, it's better to have 100% than 90%. I said 90% is pretty good. I'd make that bet, but I definitely continue to make a bigger bet if I had 100%. So lil Monash looks to obviously make that a confirmed playoffs contention here. Just remove that out of the board here. And as I say that, one of the members do go down, PokeEdu off the board here. Damp finding that kill on the side there, and things getting a little bit more difficult now for lil Monash.
Continuously losing out on those early frags is huge misplay there by them, but gotta also commend obSYDian. They have been ramping up their own momentum and their own aggression by a meter every time rather than a centimeter back in Clubhouse. So it's an amazing thing to really see that they they continue to push on, keep on and keep up that pressure. And if they are able to claim this round and push this into a 3-1 scoreline, this would be extremely difficult for lil Monash to at least come back from, especially once they move on to the attack.
Well, still no one else has been found after PokeEdu has gone down. We're 1 minute 30 in. obSYDian still slowly poking their way in. A few extra shots here. Strider still yet to make an entry just yet. Is happy to sit back here and you know, just in the window. Ends up finding death in the process of that. Sporto just getting the shot there. Mounting the window and ends up falling down to his death. Now it's going to be lil Monash now feeling a bit more comfortable with that extra member back in return. No consequences for the pickup of that member as well. No real utility had been used up by them in the process of that. We do have some gas coming out here as well as they're continuing their push here by obSYDian. Tresp likes holding down this cocktail entrance and making the way back in. Damp still sitting in the back alley here. Is finally going to push it through down the side here. Throw that, has that angle to try and cover and is making the way up the stairs. Now that we've got 36 seconds left to make this here, obSYDian do need to put the pedal to the metal, put that gas in and begin to get the diffuser down if they're going to extend this a little bit further. As you can see, just knocking a few of that barricades away. But then you can see Unipog actually had to jump on that shot that was going to be taken down anyway. Now everything blows up into it. It is going to be obSYDian now down to that last member. It's all going to be on Damp. Damp is there shooting everything across there, but just nothing happening there, and he's going to be found up in the end. And wow, what a way to completely turn things around here. lil Monash beginning to walk away with that one at least.
It oddly feels very much like the beginning of Clubhouse Mendrix.
Yeah.
The fact that Monash, they were able to very convincingly hold the bar and cocktail lounge. The kitchen side completely fell through twice, as a matter of fact. And Monash, the moment they come back over to the bar and cocktail, yeah, well, fine and dandy. They're looking to equalize the round count here to a piece at the conclusion of round 4, and now go into the reading room and fireplace. This is one of those sites what feels eerily like, or rather, well, not eerily like, very much similar to approach of how one could play, probably say like gym bedroom, in regards to just it being kind of that tertiary side, that being kind of a more so of a pocket pick, since kitchen cooking and prep is a little bit more kind of turtle heavy, with some need of presence on the second floor. And so with cocktail lounge being kind of right above the reading, if you keep on holding that position, it is still going to be a very difficult position to take, and it will be a very crucial one for obSYDian to go through, because otherwise, if they just decide to fully send right on site, they're going to be shot from the side, they're going to be shot from above, and no chances whatsoever will be presented to them.
Nice little pick up here for lil Monash to make that change around and just make things a little bit difficult for obSYDian with this change. So it's going to be on them to really, play that a little bit more carefully. Of course, like you said, the idea is that if you do try to pocket down to this one side, if you do manage to break a nice hole in that defense, of course that means that you can't really find a repositioning chance or repositioning opportunity to get back around. You're really making sure you're trying to hold this one location down. So holding all 5 members here for lil Monash as long as possible is going to be key to making sure this place is kept in. And obSYDian choosing to go in from that ceiling, just dropping on down as we can see here now. Basically the whole man of the units here, and slowly begin to clear out and see what information they can find.
Slowly but surely, yeah, look, already taking full control of the piano. No real contention from lil Monash, apart from some presence in the construction hallway. Yodapug will try to hold off his opponents, but right now with Sporter already going down to the hands of Shanks, this is not looking particularly too well. Some presence on the windows as well is going to be spelling some more issues for a fallback plan for Yodapug, who tries to take the gunfight there, but unfortunately for him, he only loses even more health. But Paquetto is able to find at least some form of fragging for his teammate, so at the very least some redemption, but not for long. Damp gets the better, and slowly but surely only 4 grenades on the Shamiha launcher remain, so Yodapug decides to fall back, and very, very reasonable decision given that, well, they've already managed to waste just about a minute, if not a minute and a half, and that's exactly just the right position where probably lil Monash would really want obSYDian to be in, because now obSYDian need to actually start conveying onto the side, and this is where kind of the big hurdle actually occurs here.
Yes, let's just continue to open up some peaks here. Strider has been doing pretty well on this particular use of this particular member or operator, and just opening up those lines of vision and trying to get at least a bit more information for obSYDian. But as you mentioned, 40 seconds now left on the clock. Refuser now has been picked up by Damp. He's taking a bit of damage. Yodapug still continuing to hold the white stairs here for the time being. Basically making sure that there's any particular peak that might come through. Does throw out another launcher there just for some good measure. Now as time goes on, we do see that Tress was able to find Shanks. That's going to be another member down off the board. Now brought down to a 3-on-3. Now a 2-on-1 as Kadeem goes down. And lil Monash here, even though they were behind in terms of manpower, were able to hold the correct position here. As I say that, Strider that finds Tress. Only 5 seconds left on the clock here. Double kill for Damp. Will basically put this one out, and he also manages to get that kill as well. Bowie is going to be found at the very end as well. So nice little pick up here in the end there as well. They do manage to get all the members down, but still, when I'm looking at this match, there's no one really clearly, running away with it just yet. There's a lot of frags happening, and both these teams probably just need to find their footing.
That's true. That's true. Albeit, as I alluded to before, prior to the beginning of the previous round, this oddly felt very similar to initially, like what was happening on Clubhouse, where kind of 2 sides were occasionally played by, well, not occasionally, sorry, very well defended, pardon me, by Monash, and kind of occasionally played by obSYDian, but once things came down to one of the more kind of confident in theory sides for the defense, it all kind of fell through. So, but here now obSYDian managed to actually play around that tertiary pick that lil Monash brought on board. That was the reading room and dining. And managed to actually quite confidently shut it down, albeit with some initial losses at a mid-game essentially. But for lil Monash, them now being forced to essentially stick to that tertiary pick and try to maybe play a slightly different game means that they are going to be the ones to be put on kind of on a bit of a back foot. Yeah, on the spot, yeah. Whereas for obSYDian, they got lil Monash where they really wanted them, since they're the ones who already got, like I like to call it, kind of bare minimum point, the 3 points for themselves. If they make it a 4-2 on attack, look, That's an even better situation, really, for obSYDian squad.
Well, obSYDian have the winning game plan at the moment. I mean, when it comes to reading room and fireplace, so probably can just continue to fall down the same line of reasoning, continue to play out the same way that happened before, and possibly take the win out once again. Lil Monash are the ones that need to again adjust to the scenario. They're thinking on the spot. They probably thought, hey, this is our map pick. This is our tertiary. This is our tertiary fireplace and reading room. We understand how we need to play this one out, and now probably being caught with their pants down on obSYDian and saying, actually there is a way for us to get in, and we are not just going to fall down at the end here as well, especially with that shot onto Tresp as well. That was slightly disgusting, I have to admit. Damn filthy, if I had to say. And now, with Tresp off the board here as well, lil Monash probably feeling the pressure once again. obSYDian looking to get at least an extra map on top of it. And this is probably the first time obSYDian might be able to win 3 in a row and really set themselves up to be in a good spot going forward.
Where Tresp just can't catch a break, man, on 1-6 scoreline, and
what a turnaround!
Can't really, yeah, what a turnaround, really.
From like top fragger to 100 before. It's definitely rough when it happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough time for him, and could certainly be playing into maybe the mental game here on Cafe Dostoevsky, possibly what is allowing... Oh, lordy, that is a scary prospect for Kadim. what could be really the reason for being able to turn around so many rounds, so many fragging situations in favor of obSYDian, just purely for the fact that early shutdown is just by Strider just doing some phenomenal work. But after a double kill, he is finally down, but not out just yet.
2 for 1 still. We're pretty happy with that, even if you do retire from this round a little bit earlier than the rest of the team. That being said, Cthulhu definitely gone on the side of this. Lil Monash still fighting back. They have a little bit of pepper left in the, or a little bit of petrol left in the tank, considering that they continue to hold this up. To Cheka is holding down this line there, still has access to a few more of those shots. Now we're here, sitting in the reading room to hold that down. There's going to be a grenade coming out. He tries to get away, but he's just basically going to be a fish in a barrel, and oh boy, was obSYDian just shooting that one right on down.
No shot at all. Even Strider, who did ended up getting down, still was able to play around for a little bit longer before Paquetto came about and, well, got the pick of his own. 3v2 still relatively workable, and Monash could really play around for the time with 23 seconds only remaining. But gotta say, Shank still has 3 of his Candelas. If he plays around that, that could be huge, but it doesn't look like that is even really needed. The Type 89 is just, I believe it's Type 89. Well, the Ying LMG, regardless, is the one to actually blast off one of the teammates of Paquetto and leaves them all alone with barely any HP, 10 or below, with Admiros already sticking to the plan. It is definitely not looking pretty as the timer is now ticking against the defense.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Then you can actually see the advantage there as well that was actually coming across there by having the 2 sites so close together, even though it was being held down, that last member. Looking for those final shots there, they just said, hey, look, you're going to hold that place down. We'll just plant elsewhere. It's completely fine with us. You know, you can sit there. He's still able to find some angles to try to get some shots out, but in the end, it was to no avail. And of course, obSYDian now, you know, really with what seems to be the most meaningful lead in the competition so far. Yeah, lil Monash managed to take a victory in the last map, but for the first time, it feels like obSYDian finally is putting in a position where perhaps maybe they'll be able to run away with it.
I definitely think that this is the one. This is the revenge tour. Well, whilst being relatively brief after a loss that would have been quite heartbreaking for obSYDian, they definitely seeming to be bouncing back really well. I am curious how will they perform now on their defense, given how attack heavy Cafe so far has been, at least in the context of this very matchup. If it was just obSYDian performing like that on attack, this is huge, and if they're able to keep on extending that lead even further on the defense, look, for Monash, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of opportunities, albeit, again, if they have made their own maps, maybe they just not really putting a whole lot of mind into the second map.
It might be that idea again of just being, yeah, you know, we've played Cafe quite a fair bit. This should be our playground. Probably not taking into account perhaps the hours that might be racked up on obSYDian side of this as well. And now, you know, it could be them just getting a little bit of a lesson in terms of how this map should be played out. Not really the expectation. Perhaps when obSYDian saw that Cafe was picked, they were like, sweet, no worries, more than happy to let you actually take that one for us, and happens to be the play, and that's being reflected in the score right now. So really loving how obSYDian continue to play this through. That's it. The wins has not been taken off themselves. If anything, they seem to have picked up something more of a second win coming into it. And already, you know, 20 seconds down, still yet to see lil Monash really make a good entry here. And obSYDian pretty happy with the way they're standing, as we do have what seems to be an entry from the ceiling here being pushed up.
Just about similar angles that really anyone could be trying to peek. It is kind of one of the most safest positions to really start your assault from for lil Monash. Looking to try to maybe make an advance on the red stairs. And drone yet again being very clinical about it, trying to figure out where that hologram could really push in, but gets jammed out. So the beauty of the mute drones, or rather mute jammers coming about, which is certainly playing just the right situation. I am curious, how did that shield gets blown up? I'm assuming that's thanks to the to Flores's Roombas, given that that's another Vulcan shield that does go down. Strider, though, he doesn't care. You going for the push? Look, he doesn't care. He gets the frag. He clicks head. That's his job.
Oh, he's just continuing to perform. I mean, he had an alright round when he came to the last one. Obviously, you know, leaving a lot to be desired from a few other team members, but right now, absolutely going a bit crazy as well. So Strider playing this extremely well currently there. Manages to get to double digits there with that as well. Currently 10-3, managing to find a kill onto Tres, who, again, can't just seem to catch a break here in the second map in Cafe. Now with 1 minute left to go, obSYDian looking pretty comfortable on the offense with those members in place there. And it obviously has to get in there at some point. lil Monash continuing to hold down the line. Still has access to that Iana and Flores as well. So see what Yoda Pug and Bowie are able to do here. Sporter as well, just flipping down to the side. I mean, just so much happening on the side. obSYDian, I mean, they're on defense. They can just hold this line. They're just so happy with it. Like, I mean, 38 seconds to play with. Completely happy to sit back and let lil Monash come in the attack and make them play. And you can tell lil Monash, they're hesitating to get in there. They're just trying to figure out a way to actually make this play happen. They've been letting their mechanics sort of carry them in that initial first map, but it's just not happening this time around. And now that they've got 20 seconds down to make this play into it, they just found Bomb B as well. They jump in on the side here as well, but still going to be another member going down here for lil Monash. They finally do manage to get 2 members out there. The Yoda is spot of managing to beam those members right on down, but still not going to be enough there because they still had that extra man advantage and trying to come around that corner. It's too many defenses in place there. Really well played there by obSYDian just throughout that map, even though there was a bit of a, I could say, maybe a bit of a panic coming across from some decent play from lil Monash towards the end.
Panic is probably one of the best ways to really describe how things really happened there for lil Monash. Obviously, they just couldn't really find their footing so far, and I mean, with a 3-round differential, it is definitely a rough time for the lil Monash gamers. But obSYDian, look, they feeling pretty good. They already managed to score themselves yet another win, yet another pretty much point in their kind of streak of wins so far throughout Cafe, and possibly it is looking like we may be seeing kind of a trade of map picks really between the two rosters, albeit in the grand scheme of things, the win here on Cafe won't really hurt Monash as much as it could have been hurting obSYDian should they've won Clubhouse.
10%. That's how much it hurts lil Monash right
Exactly.
now. 10%. Could it be 100? I mean, right that, but you know, 10% difference, digging down to 90 is still, you know, pretty good odds. I think we've been saying that time and time again. I would still make that bet if I was to roll in, like, you know, say someone's like, here's 10 grand, would you make this bet for 90,000? Man, the money wouldn't leave my hand fast enough. It'd be straight off the table. So I think lil Monash is still pretty happy overall with their performance. Yes, obviously it leaves a lot to be desired here in this map too, but they're sitting pretty comfortable, have that little bit of cushioning, whereas obSYDian really were looking for a 2-0 here against lil Monash to really put themselves in a better spot. Actually, just confirm themselves for the playoffs here. We are, like I said, moving into now kitchen service and kitchen cooking, both from the first floor. That seems to be the defense point here, or defense choice for obSYDian. Lil Monash continue to play through that cafe rooftop. That seems to be where they like to really engage from this point of really engage obSYDian this time around.
obSYDian just so far just stayed very true to just how they keep themselves set up, how they kind of keep up their momentum, the way how Damp been performing, the way how Strider been performing. You look at their kind of the two key players that have been able to force the rest of the team kind of just waltz right onto the side, get those frags. Shanks as well following suit with 7 frags certainly does allow the rest of the team to just bring that performance to a whole new level. And well, the scoreline itself speaks quite highly of what has so far been kind of a very, what felt like a one-sided match after the conclusion of the first half. And it's just the defense for obSYDian is just on a whole new level. Monash kind of almost, it feels like they are playing a very kind of solo game between each one of the players.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you said, that scoreline really is illustrating the scenario here. When the performance was on the side of lil Monash, you can see were the ones that were able to take out the win. obSYDian, though, just seemed to have all their players warmed up. I mean, the first map seemed to be them just greasing up. I feel like this was a best of 3, not a best of 2. Or, we can say instead of it being, if it was 3 maps instead of 2 maps only, things might look a little bit different here for obSYDian. That being said, as you can see, Damp, once again, finding another kill onto lil Monash. Poke also taking quite a fair amount of damage in the back here, but that has been spotted. We'll be able to find Damp at least. Of course, he was doing a lot there. Well, that drone just flew straight into the gun and exploded. And again, a bit more of the information denial coming across. Swatter trying to make the way down these stairs, but doesn't really like it. It's going to just move away in here. 30 seconds to go. Lil Monash needs to make a push happen as another member drops down. Bowie taken off of the map. This not looking too good here. So he's looking perhaps for him to drop down through the edge here. We'll blow a hole on the side and just move away from it just to sort of create a diversion. But 15 seconds down the line, obSYDian feeling pretty comfortable. They got 4 members still alive here. Lil Monash haven't really made any crazy room for it. They're now down to that last 10 seconds, and here they are making the push, but once again found and shot down. Again, see the diffuser's dropped. It isn't going to be enough to make the line, and that's going to be another win here coming across obSYDian. Completely different team in this map too.
Built differently, just that's probably one of the ways to describe how things been really transpiring here. Yeah, look, on the match point as well already, looking to wrap up Cafe in a very quick manner against the lil Monash. And look, yeah, I gotta say, the attack of lil Monash on Cafe has definitely been extremely shaky. It feels bad. Trespia, look, bit of a breadstick gamer, maybe wants to go to Paris eventually. Hopefully, once COVID hacks off, he can fulfill
Fingers
that dream.
crossed.
But for now, yeah, needs to just keep himself in check.
I mean, it's true. Hey, international travels are opening up here, so again, it's not going to be, maybe it's currently a dream, but whether you say when it comes to dream, get the dream big if you want it to actually come true. So hopefully he does manage to make his way to France. I'm pretty hopeful in that sense. We are moving now into, again, what is going to be match point for obSYDian, currently up 6-2 against lil Monash, looking to take out the second map. Reading Room Fireplace could be the final sort of setup here that obSYDian's has chosen, and lil Monash need to find their footing here for at least the next 4 maps if they want to have a hope to stay, well, not the next 4 maps, the next 4 rounds if they want to actually make their way back into it and get a 100% confirmation.
10 seconds to insert.
Yeah, the 100% confirmation here is going to be
5 seconds remaining.
one of those very highly seeked situations and opportunities,
Use a bomb.
as they would want to at the very least maybe try to pull a comeback. But if they do want to do that, it's 4 rounds flawlessly that need to be executed by lil Monash. And the way how so far things been evolving, personally, I don't really have a whole lot of faith in there. But look, we've seen some comebacks happen. We've seen some crazier stories occur throughout multiple different tournaments and competitions within Rainbow Six Siege. So look, I wouldn't put it past that. Maybe, just maybe, Monash might be able to bring this back. Kadeem, meanwhile, to hold around the pixel angle, but no dedication of the ballistic shield utility is going to be putting him at a risk of just potentially just getting bomb rushed down and completely annihilated. But surely there's a plan B in place.
Well, right now the bum rush hasn't just come in, so he's going to be sitting a little bit comfortable, probably unaware of the possible consequences that could arise. 2 minutes down the line here as well. Kadeem, as you can see, is just continuing to put some shots up. Decides to retreat right on down to that shield, so probably doesn't have to worry about any more rushes coming on through. Lil Monash still yet to really pull the trigger on this round and still have some time to play with. You really start to get hot under the collar once it hits that 45-second mark, perhaps even the minute mark as well. So they continue to play with it, just nice and slow seems to be the name of the game there. Continue to throw out any grenades available, other things as well. A few more shots, bombs going off, but no real finds here on the side. Lil Monash continue to poke through, and there we go, first blood coming on through. Trask taken down once again. Shanks remember to find that killer as well again. Just not Shank's map coming across. As we say that, there is going to be some return fire from Poku. That is a disgusting angle to be taking that shot as well, just sitting there on the side. That literally looked like a sliver that does manage to get at least Shanks as well. And lil Monash now actually an advantage coming into a 1 minute left to go. Managing to bring down, Poke managing to get a double kill on the side here. Still relatively healthy members here, but finally Poke will go down as he had a slither of HP. Still going to be up to Yodapug, Bowie, and Sporter to really take this one away. You can see Strider holding down the stairs for the time being there. We'll see a few of those extra shots coming across there. Some throwables coming out, but it's still going to hold that line there. Isn't retreating just yet. Trying to cover both these angles is definitely going to be a tall order to get through. Admir's there, hitting down here in the reading room, trying to hold down that line, but trying to manage to get the shot into Yodapug. This is looking a little bit better for obSYDian now that they've bring it down to 2 versus 2, 20 seconds down the line. Sporter does have that diffuser, so he needs to get in there and get something down. That's a big pick up there from Bowie, making it a 1 versus 2 here. 14 seconds left on the clock, and it's up to Admiros now to finish things here. The diffuser's been dropped. That's a big pick up there, but again, it's still going to be a wind-up. Lil Monash managed to bring this one back.
Yo, look, on the cusp of initially losing out what could have been the final round, no, they managed to bring it back. Lil Monash scoring themselves that 3rd point, but my goodness, that was off the back of a 1v1 and initially a 4v2 lead that was gained oh so quickly, but really got pretty much pushed down to such an amazing scoreline. Strider just showing why he still has so much prowess to his name.
Absolutely, and it's good again. I mean, like, we thought this might be us just, going home. Mind you, we're already home. Of course, everything's being done from home. But Lil Monash, it's still want to stay within the locker room. Still want things this game to continue to go forward, and keep people going forward, and don't want obSYDian to just walk away with a comfortable win. They want it to be a hard fought victory for obSYDian at least. So Lil Monash looking for them to bring it back once again. obSYDian here just happy to step a few peaks, continue to reinforce some areas of the wall here. We are looking at bar and cocktail lounge now here in Cafe for obSYDian. So just trying to hold this one down, so changing things up a little bit. I did kind of like the touch on the previous map to actually take it to reading room and fireplace previously, because you can tell Lil Monash tried to defend that place, I believe, 3 times and didn't really succeed on it. And they probably thought, hey, you know what, we'll just throw it to reading room and fireplace just to throw a little bit of salt in the wounds, considering how well they've been going so far. But now with this change, perhaps going to something where they go, you know what, I reckon we're going to be prepared for them this time around. This is where we'll win the game.
Yet another round, yet another chance for at least some redemption stories to come about. We are looking at Monash to try to bring this back for their 4th point. Well, attempt for a 4th point, rather, sorry. Whereas obSYDian are still on that brink of possibly finally closing out the game for themselves. Finally being able to, at the very least, get some form of redemption, despite losing the chances really there for themselves for the playoffs. and quite possibly looking to finally make it, at the very least, a draw, and yet another not entirely a loss, or rather not entirely a win for their opponents.
I think that's the key point here, and I think, again, we still have a number of matches that still need to be played out. obSYDian, not directly out of the running yet, is going to be, ideally you want to be able to take that win, get yourself 100% confirmed with the 2-1s. Not going to be the case for them this time around, but at least they want to have a fighting chance, and every team should take every opportunity to make sure you have that fighting chance. So obSYDian, again, holding down this line, pretty comfortable in defense here, still 5 versus 5 as well. Lil Monash do find the bomb on site A, but still haven't really made any real progress in at least weakening some of the members here from obSYDian. They're using their resources effectively, trying to gain that information to get in. They can see some of the peaks there. Finally, some damage is taken there by Poke Edu. Tresp once again falls down. I just feel bad now. That being said, Poke Edu also falls down as well, so now it's going to be a 5 versus 3. Damp at least is going to be traded out here by Bowie, and with a minute left on the clock, now lil Monash being pressed a little bit harder on this side. Swatter tries to get some shots there, but isn't going to find anything too crazy on that one. Now it's down to a 4 versus 2. Kadeem manages to get a kill, will be traded out, but as you can see, Strider finds the kill into Bowie directly afterwards, and Spotter now needs to clutch out, needs to make something happen, gets a kill into Admiros, but it's not going to be enough. Shanks knew exactly where he was. As he turns the corner, he's going to be gunned down.
Exactly, there we go. GG, well played. obSYDian do manage to take a much more decisive victory comparative to their opponents back in map number 1, and there we go. Strider, as the MVP for Cafe Dostoevsky, managed to just claw away any kind of chances for a success. Tresp, very unfortunate turnout, and I definitely think that early shutdown each and every round against lil Monash definitely was one of the key parts to the success of obSYDian. That early man disadvantage is a really huge tool for obSYDian that they managed to figure out and then use and abuse, really.
And again, when they did have those victories as well, when we saw them in the previous map, they were managing to get those victories. It looked a bit rough for lil Monash, and then again, Tresp performing so well was able just to turn things around time and time again. Now that Tresp didn't have that big performance, as soon as his advantages were picked up by obSYDian, things can take a completely different turn, and they just look so comfortable closing that out. It's interesting to say the least, because what ends up being the case in this scenario is that idea of, hey, both of these are our map picks, but again, it's going to be an upset on both sides there. So a lot happening on the side there. I think, you might have some extra stats here. I'm not sure if they're ready to go, but I think, what happens with that change there? Tresp just a little bit further behind here. Do you think maybe just didn't have, everything was using that first map, or maybe just not so happy on that cafe?
Yeah, I think it's partially just stuff.
And we've got the stats. We can bring the stats up.
Yeah, let's go over the stats. That will give us a little bit more kind of context. But I definitely think that for Tresp, partially it's just some of the gamer energy being used up. Partially it's just maybe the fact that they kind of, okay, we got the win on the first map. Okay, let's wrap it up. Kind of maybe play it into that. On the side of obSYDian, they just kept up being just absolutely clinical. So many players on the high KDs as well, and just overall worked out extremely well for them.
You can really see that a lot of different things there changed up as well on the map there in terms of those entries. So really good by obSYDian to really show us a good time, and in terms of that there different team, I really felt coming into that second map. That being said, though, let's have a quick look at the ladders and playoffs for all the participants to see what actually ends up being left available on that side there.
Well, there we go. Group D will be still concluding with Monash still sticking about on the first place. obSYDian, unfortunately, still sitting on the 4th place, but still in the top 4 bracket for themselves. Still managing to keep themselves afloat. Very well done. And QT are the ones to actually, go through the playoffs. So unfortunate for obSYDian, but maybe next semester we shall be seeing them back again at the gamer table.
Yeah, it really is just one of those scenarios where even though it looks like, you're looking at that record, things seem to be a bit different of it. It really does come down to making sure that you convert those wins effectively or perhaps not taking any of those real losses as well. So, congratulations in that sense in the QUT beginning to make that confirmation to get on through as well. And lil Monash, sitting at 90%, still pretty good. No, sorry, actually 100% on that side of things. Sorry, I can't get that 90% out of my mind. But yeah, pretty happy for them in that sense of things. And congratulations to those teams to make it to playoffs. Apart from that, is there any other thoughts that you might have in your mind there, Cthulhu? Anything else that you want to bring into this particular map or highlight that we missed?
Honestly, my main kind of thought here is that if Monash will be going into the playoffs with kind of this approach how they've done with the clubhouse, I definitely think that they may be at quite a bit of a danger against some of the other teams. It's certainly my expectation here was that they would be still the ones to come out victorious with a 2-0 for themselves, and it would be a much more decisive victory. But for them to miss out on quite a few key points and allow firstly for the overtime to happen, definitely poses a few questions later down the line. On the side of obSYDian, though, I can't discredit them at all. They've done a phenomenal job. Whenever Monash did an oopsie in their prep, well, obSYDian were always there to punish them quite severely for quite a prolonged amount of time as well.
Yeah, absolutely there. Look, you said we got a few questions that we're asking you right now. Of course, if you guys want to know those answers, you're going to have to keep watching, see what happens with playoffs. That being said, playoffs and this entire tournament, of course, is going to be thankful to our sponsors there. Of course, Chatime presenting it, innovative flavors, combinations to brew nothing but the best iced teas. Of course, Rig delivering superior audio for competitive gamers. AOC with more than 50 years of experience at their helm. And of course, Indomie, feed your game. Make sure you try out any of their flavors today. With that being said, though, guys, I think that seems to be everything that's said from us. I think you've got what you want to put out there, Cthulhu. I've got everything you need to do. Thank you very much again to the teams and the players that jumped in there today. Of course, is going to be obSYDian and Monash, lil Monash there coming across there. Thank you. A big thank you to you guys for watching us as well. And with that, I believe we're going to be closing this one out. I hope you have a great night.
Before we're done.
From classic iced tea flavours like peach or mango to exotic lychee or pomegranate, you can enjoy your Chatime any way you like. Chatime, shaking tea up.
Before we're done.
Announcing the AOC Community Challenge for Rainbow Six Siege. 5-on-5 action starting 30th of September. With an over $4,000 prize pool to be won. Registrations close September 26th, so register now at ael.org/AOC Challenge.
I live my life on the run. I say I'm not giving up. I may be living alone, but I
streets a few months. I'm trying to pick myself up.